So I had a question about how to stay with grief, how to heal grief, and how to process it, and how one can stay connected to the soul through grief. And this is actually a very simple answer from my point of view, um, but sometimes can be very hard to follow. Often that's how truth works, right? It's not always it's so complicated, but it's very simple, but it can be complicated to follow because it can be very overwhelming. And it's the same with grief. The short answer would be step into the broken heart, because the broken heart will never ever fail you. The broken heart is always an invitation to crack the shell, to crack the walls around your heart that that keeps you away from being fully you and for being fully aligned with your soul. That's what heartbreak is. Heartbreak is not something that will damage you. I know from a psychological point of view, this might sound very crazy, and it's also okay if you don't feel resonant, if you don't resonate with it, just leave it. But for you who actually wants to see the spiritual purpose of this, my invitation for you is to understand that a broken heart is not a broken heart. The broken heart can never be broken, but the walls around the heart, the walls which is identifications of our personality, of our belief system, and all these kind of things that actually hold us into pain and limit us from being fully aligned with our soul. That's what's been broken. And our identification can be broken. And that's why it can feel so hard when the identification actually gets broken in a way that it starts to die. A part of it starts to die. This is why heartbreak in many ways can be seen from a psychological point of view as something to try to avoid, because some part of you breaks. But my invitation for you is to understand that within you that breaks is actually some part of that which holds you away from being fully aligned with your soul. So the more you can actually step into it and just like dive into that grief, drown yourself in it. And grief is not that part that judges. Let's say it's a heartbreak of a relation. Grief is not that place where you judge someone else. Grief is only where you sit with your own feeling. If you need to judge someone else, then do so. Be my guest. But at one point, you need to go in and feel yourself. You can judge, you can put it over to someone else, but something inside of you should always know that this is about yourself. This has nothing to do with the other person, no matter what happened. No matter what happened. You can only be hurt because there's something in you that can be hurt. And that's not your heart. Your heart cannot be hurt. Because love doesn't know pain. It's only the personality that knows pain. So grief is actually that place where you should step into it. You should drown in it. Because when you drown in that, you will meet and you will discover a new part of yourself. And that will plant a little seed in you that slowly will arise. And that seed is part of your soul that is coming back. And this is not about feeling pity for yourself. This is just about being with that what is. But always knowing that the grief is your helper. Because I also know that many people can be having thoughts about leaving their bodies and leaving this incarnation due to it, which is very normal in some ways. But just remember, that is that voice which says, let me take my life, for example, is that voice which still identifies your entire being with that part of the personality which is about to die. And if you just listen to that personality, that's where you can take some choices that could end up in that. But that's only that part of the personality that is about to die. So if you can sit with yourself and embrace fully that that part of you which is about to die leaves you, so that seed from the soul can be planted and slowly grow and arise. You can see this as one of the most beautiful spiritual practices that exist. But it should not be from a place of where you go into hate. You can hate. I'm not saying don't hate. I'm not that person that tells you to only look at love and light. If you need to go into the shadow, go into the shadow. But know that when you step into the shadow, on the other side of that shadow will come light. Because light is only there. The shadow is only there so the light can shine. So sometimes stepping into that shadow is what we need to do to see the light on the other side. So I'm not saying don't hate, don't judge. If you feel for doing that, do so. But just know that at one point it has to run its course, and then you will have to pull everything back and know that this is about you, and this is the hard part. This is like the full surrender you have to go to. And this is where some people, they stay in grief for a long time. Either because they are so deep into their soul that they can keep grieving, because they can go deeper and they can go deeper and they can go deeper, and that can be very, very beautiful. But it can also be because you don't fully realize that this is about you. There's something in you that you have to pull back. You have to just go inwardly with this completely. Believe me, I know how this is. And I know I have tried so much to escape from grief. And the biggest trauma of my life, I try to escape it, and I try to escape it with a lot of trauma therapy, breath work and this and that, and it should not be escaped. If you fully want to grow and to evolve and to become closer to your soul, you just have to sit with the grief, give it place, and don't put a time limit on, because you have no idea how long it will take. But one day you will start to realize something changes, and then maybe you will go back and you will grieve again, but something changes, and slowly that starts to arise, and then you will take the roller coaster up and down, and that's fine. It's only there to serve you for the highest purpose of the soul, to come and enter that part that it couldn't enter fully because some part of the full personality was holding it away, like taking its place inside your being. This is the game. So grief is just that which breaks the wall around the heart, so we can step into the heart. Of course, I can help with this also. Many people can help with this, but not if they try to help you go away from grief. It has to run its course. This is why there is many native traditions that, they just cut their hair when they go into a grieving process. And then the entire tribe know that in this moment, like in this period, the person is grieving, and they take more aware of that person. The person doesn't have the same kind of responsibility always. They don't have, they're not part of the ceremonies the same way, because first they need to go inwardly with this, and it takes time. It's a symbol of it. You don't have to cut your hair, but inwardly you can say to yourself, this is the time now for me. I should not do something else. There's nothing I have to accomplish right now. I know this entire world today, there's things to accomplish with work and such and all the time. But inside of you, there is nothing for you to accomplish to feel better right now. No, just grieve. Break the walls around the heart. And I say this with a smile, because I know that this means that your soul will enter deeper. It's a blessing. So just please drown yourself in it, well knowing it's only part of your personality. Don't identify with it. Okay? It will be healed. When? That's not up to you. That's not up to me to know. If you have any questions with this, my dear, feel free to text me or write a comment, and I will be happy to answer. And of course, I can also help you with this beautiful process of transition, to help you with going into it and clarifying and such. So feel free to reach out. And until then, may you walk in beauty.